This just in! Breaking news, our top story tonight. Despite claiming no knowledge of Bitcoin, Warren Buffett says it's likely to end in disaster. That's right, maybe it's time for us all to stop playing on Mr. Buffett's lawn. No, seriously guys, get off the lawn, he owns the property. Next up, US Marshals to auction off 3,800 Bitcoin. What price they will be, no one knows, but if they're under $13,700, also tonight, South Korea doesn't ban Bitcoin. I swear these are the stupidest fucking stories sometimes. Like, what the fuck is that headline? And finally tonight, MoneyGram teams up with Ripple to test their international payments. MoneyGram thinking they have to improve their technology? What is it, 2005 already? All of this and more tonight on Crypto News. Couple items of business before we jump into the stories today. First off, in yesterday's video, I talked about how Ripple was centralized because the founders own so much of the currency. And while I think it is a bad thing that is true, I don't think that's actually the meaning of centralization. Rather, it means that one party controls everything to do with the currency, which is still the case for Ripple. Ripple Labs has control of the functionality of Ripple. Second off, we have a lot of new viewers here on the channel. I want to thank you for joining us and explain what we do. So this is mainly a news channel. I'm primarily going to go through topics that are happening so you guys can stay informed on what's going on in the world of cryptocurrency. But we're also going to work in some funny vids or look at some other videos on YouTube, or once in a while maybe explain some basic concepts about coins. While I will probably do videos from time to time talking about good opportunities to invest in the space, if you want a channel primarily here to shill coins so you can buy stuff right now, this is probably not the place to be. No, actually, this is definitely not the place to be. Might I recommend you...
It's on fire right now. All these are on fire. What are we saying?
If you do want a source to give you unbiased and straightforward information, hit the subscribe button and join the team. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our first topic. Let's jump in and talk about South Korea not banning Bitcoin. Now, I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but late last night, a rumor was circulating that South Korea was going to completely ban cryptocurrency. Now, South Korea is a big player in the space, super high demand for all of this stuff. Obviously, South Korea loves technology, definitely a forward-thinking country when it comes to that industry. So they love crypto, and they definitely were part of the reason the prices have increased so much. The demand is very high in Korea. So the news really hit the markets pretty hard, and we saw some losses across the board for most of the different digital currencies. According to this article from CoinDesk, a Korean official said the cryptocurrency exchange ban is not finalized. Apparently, South Korea's presidential office said today that a plan to ban trading cryptocurrencies via exchanges in the nation is still not set in stone. Justice Minister Park's comments related to the shutdown of cryptocurrency exchanges is one of the measures prepared by the Ministry of Justice, but it's not a measure that has been finalized. Further, even if approved, the legislation is unlikely to come into effect anytime soon. Reuters states in the earlier article, legislation for an outright ban of virtual coin trading will require a majority vote of the total 297 members of the National Assembly, a process that could take months or even years. That's right, it's not doomsday, nothing has been banned, it's a proposal set forward that would then have to be ratified by the South Korean government. So everyone can just calm down and take a deep breath and buy some cheap Bitcoin. This news is not a huge deal and won't impact Bitcoin very severely, but what worries me is the reaction from the community to just a slight bit of bad news. In South Korea, there's a proposal to remove Bitcoin or to ban cryptocurrencies, and this happens, pandemonium, everyone's panicking, and that's in South Korea. Imagine if an actual measure got taken in the US, and that's one of the reasons why I always advocate to have a balanced portfolio and not just be all in on cryptocurrency. This could happen, guys. Look, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I think that cryptocurrency is the future. I think that one day we will see tremendous heights for Bitcoin and many other currencies. But that doesn't mean there won't be bumps along the way, and we are certainly at the mercy of legislation as well as what big companies want to do. If banks got together and decided to start shutting down Coinbase transfers, guys, it would hurt the price dramatically. So for those reasons, even if you believe in Bitcoin or digital currencies, make sure that you have some other investments as well. Otherwise, you're all in on something that could go bust. That actually sounded a little harsher than I wanted to sound. I don't think it's going bust. I'm just warning you to be careful. Next up, MoneyGram to pilot Ripple's XRP token. According to this article from CoinDesk, the international money remittance firm MoneyGram is partnering with Ripple to test the startup's XRP token for international payments. CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, also said, quote, "The inefficiencies of global payments don't just affect banks, they also affect institutions like MoneyGram. By using a digital asset like XRP that settles in 3 seconds or less, they can now move money as quickly as information." Now, we don't know exactly what this is going to mean moving forward, and frankly, this announcement, it's a little thin on the info. Oh, we're testing stuff out, guys. By the way, we're MoneyGram. We mentioned that. Can we get that in the press release? MoneyGram. Yeah, we're still around. Yeah, we started in 1940. Still around. Are we relevant now? Should we put blockchain after MoneyGram? MoneyGram blockchain. Anyone? Anyone? Fuck Wells Fargo, man. This proves one thing to me, though. Ripple is really in the mix with a lot of these larger companies, and they know how to spin a story to get a little boost going in the XRP price. But be warned, that means that we might see it overvalued. Personally, I think it's way overvalued, but who knows these days anyway, and be careful for potential downturns in the future. Next up, if you're new to crypto and you don't know what a lot of these coins are or how to buy them or any simple questions, rather than annoying people around you like me, please stop asking me. I just can't take it anymore. What's Rayblocks, Doug? What do you think about Verge? What do you think about X439B11? Doug! 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 Stop it! Stop it. Anyway, if that is you, make sure to check out coincentral.com. It's a site that I made to try and give people a good place to go to get unbiased information. Our next story takes place right here in the US as US Marshals set to auction off 3,800 Bitcoin. This is not exactly anything new when it comes to governments when they find Bitcoin. Obviously, one of the downsides to digital currencies are that they can be used for anonymous transactions that can be in black markets. There's no doubt about that. Anyone that tries to tell you otherwise that's a fan of them is just lying. The point is, bad people do end up with these currencies. And so when governments stumble across them or take them from people, well, now they have to decide what to do with this asset. While some governments do decide to hodl their coins when they come across them, most decide to sell it in exchange for their own national currency. This makes a lot of sense to me. I'm not expecting governments to understand the ins and outs, and if they want to then sell them to redeem it for the national currency, that seems completely fine. It also keeps more of the money in the hands of the people, which I can get behind. According to ccn.com, the US Marshals Service is holding its first Bitcoin auction in over a year. The agency first held a series of auctions in 2014 selling Bitcoin forfeited by Ross Ulbright in the United States clampdown on the dark web drug marketplace, the Silk Road. If you guys don't remember that, it was a pretty huge time for Bitcoin. It started to get some press in the mainstream, but negative press because, bad people were using Bitcoin to do bad things. I actually came across a documentary on Netflix that if you guys have not seen about Bitcoin, I'd strongly recommend checking it out. I thought it was super cool, and it does cover this story. However, one problem I had with that documentary, it had a pro-Bitcoin slant. Obviously, that was likely to happen. And they made certain government agencies out to be the bad guys more than they should be. Were the governments the bad guys? To some extent, sure. But at the same time, they also have to take responsibility. If you process payments to a drug entity knowing that it's for, drugs, you're going to go to jail. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. Check out that documentary if you haven't done so before. Overseen by the U.S. Department of Justice, the auction is slated for January 22nd and will include Bitcoin assets seized in various federal court cases. As they have in the past, the Marshals Service will divide the contents of the auction into multiple bidding blocks. Bottom line, when government agencies find these assets, they're probably going to try and sell them. I think we're going to see a lot more of this in the future. Let's move on. This brings us to our top story tonight. Warren Buffett went on record talking about Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the clips.
I can say almost with certainty that they will come to a bad ending. Now, when it happens or how or anything else, I don't know.
It's a mirage, basically. I mean, it's a method of
of transmitting money. The idea that it has some huge intrinsic value is just a joke in my view. No, there's no reason. I get into enough trouble with things I think I know something about. Why in the world should I take a long or short position in something I don't know anything about?
I'm going to open with this. Warren Buffett is one of the most wildly successful people that we've ever seen in the world. So I'm not trying to discredit him as an investor. The guy knows what's up. He knows what to invest in. He's got a good eye for these things, and he has been wildly successful for a super long period of time. However, I also think that the older generation of people tend to kind of be Bitcoin haters, and it's a mix of things all coming together. For starters, I understand that cryptocurrencies do not generate revenue, and Warren Buffett doesn't like that. He likes to own shares of things that actually produce profit, which is a fair argument, and I understand where he's coming from. It's also very different when you come up in a generation that had computers their whole lives, internet for most or all of their lives, mobile phones for most of all of their lives. Those things are all going to naturally make, the younger generation more into these technological advances and technological currencies like Bitcoin, other coins. The older generation doesn't have that. They grew up with newspapers and trying to find out things from the 8 o'clock news and things like that, more traditional forms of media. So I think that just some part of it is having an understanding of computers and technology. Some part of it is the fact that these are much more speculative investments. And another part of it is just not wanting to change from old ways. It does seem pretty hypocritical to me, though, to say, oh, I know nothing about this, but I'm going to tell you it ends in disaster. Okay, that's kind of a weird thing to say. If you don't know much about it, then how do you know that? You're just guessing that it will because you've been right in the past about other industries. Doesn't seem like a solid basis for an argument. I will say, though, it's refreshing seeing someone that knows nothing, not just straight chilling out.
And I'm going to be continuing to actively invest here on BitConnect.
I could not believe I found a coin this cheap. I could not believe it even existed. It's called Pack Coin.
My name is.
If we step back and take a more macro view, I think it's safe to say that the growth we've been seeing is not sustainable. Way too many of these coins are up 100, 500, 1,000% in the last month or two. And even the bigger ones have gotten good growth over the last few months. We're not going to be able to double the entire value every let's just call it 2 months. That's not sustainable long-term growth. So we will see it slow down. Will we see it slow down but still grow? Will we see it slow down with some kind of crash? We don't know. We don't know what that will look like. But I think if you don't understand what's happening with cryptocurrency, you're kind of missing the whole point here, which is this is a way of decentralizing who decides what happens with the money. This is a way of deciding, or this is a way to be able to transfer things quickly around the world. This is a way to lower fees. There are many upsides to what's happening, and to just take a blanket statement of, well, it's speculative, so it's going to crash, and I know nothing, but it's going to crash. I don't think you're really in a position to be able to say that if you haven't looked at exactly what's going on and looked at the upside. I trust in math, and I trust in algorithms, and I trust in set procedures that have to operate by certain functions. I don't trust people. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe people are awesome. But I've had on more than one occasion people make decisions that have affected me because they get to decide what's going to happen to my money. I don't want that. I want certain rules in place that decide what it will be. I want to have the stability of knowing the way that it will function. I want to know how many of this currency that will be printed. I don't want my money to be devalued because of a third party making decisions. And that's what you're getting here, at least with some currencies, which is why I think those are important. But the point remains, there are certain upsides that are not addressed here from Warren Buffett that I think his inability to understand makes him see it that this will fail. That's going to do it here from me. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.